5 years from now, there's going to be a handful of AI stocks that everyone wishes they had earlier, along with a bunch that looked unstoppable but quietly faded out. In this episode, we're breaking down what we expect in 2026 and what the winners of the AI era might actually look like in 5 years. Let's get into it. Welcome to Beyond the Trade, where the levels don't lie, the trades hit hard, and we're here to cut through the noise. No scripts, no safety nets, just raw market talk. Lock in. It's time to go Beyond the Trade.
Beyond the Trade is for educational entertainment purposes only. Nothing you hear should be taken as financial advice. Always do your own research and consult a qualified professional before making investment decisions. My man.
My friend Mike, I have a feeling you have something to share with us.
I do. Let's see. I don't know what the. I don't know. Something to do with the Bears, I'm thinking.
The
I think
Bears?
It's got something to do with the Bears. The Bears. You know, Chicago this year, we got a pope from Chicago, and what happens? The Bears win their first playoff game in like 15 years.
Is there a correlation?
There is. The Pope's a Bear fan.
The Pope.
The Pope. the Pope. What a game! Sorry, Packer fans, not. But yeah, I'm still shaking. I'm still shaking. I'm quivering. Quivering.
I want to include just a little snippet of how we celebrated last night after I happened to call Acro during the final plays, and here take a little listen in. I'll play it right now.
I'm sorry. Oh,
Get him! Get him! Get him!
Oh my God!
That's it. Done. 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 Done.
Pick! He dropped it! Game over!
Oh, the Bears. The Bears.
Game over! It's over!
Bears. Unbelievable. Unbelievable.
Now, wasn't that such a good time? Wasn't that such a good time, Mike?
Oh, I didn't hear it, but
Well,
I don't know.
I inserted it after the fact.
Okay.
We're
All
getting
right.
it.
Yeah, it was. I don't think I got to sleep till about 4 a.m. I was just too jacked up. It was amazing.
He is still drinking water, ladies and gentlemen.
I am still.
He is drinking water, and here's the great thing is that at the table right now in 2026, there's plenty for everyone to eat and drink. Plenty.
There
and
is.
then right now I am, of course, referring to the good and almighty stock market, the thing that we all know and love. And today, as mentioned in the, I know it's quenching, isn't it? I don't know if you have a sip of water. I brought you. It's like I'm bringing you to the trough right now.
I'm a little dehydrated.
But that's how I feel right now when thinking about AI stocks. I mean, listen, SPY's at all-time highs. The NASDAQ is at close to all-time highs. And small caps are just ripping. Just ripping. All-time highs. Finally, they're seeing some outperformance here. So I'm proud of the little engine that could. They knew they'd do it eventually. Tom Lee still lied to all of America about saying it would be up 150% last year. So I feel bad if any of you listened to that. But yeah, it's good to see things kind of take a turn for the better here and end up at all-time highs. So, Mike, I know you had some kind of structure for us that we kind of wanted to talk through for this episode.
When you had mentioned you wanted to do something on AI, I really had sat down and think, I don't really know that much about it. I use it So, of course, I went to ChatGPT and asked it a bunch of questions, and it was interesting the way it structured it on how to think or pick certain AI stocks. And I guess it kind of broke down for me what really is an AI stock. There's so many different levels in it. And it kind of breaks it down into basically three buckets, if you will. The picks and shovels of the industry of AI is the infrastructure, the NVIDIAs, the AMDs, Broadcom, all that. These are the companies that are basically selling the picks and shovels for the gold rush into AI, right? Beyond that, you get into the platforms, or basically the AI operating systems like Alphabet, Amazon, Microsoft. These are the companies that, as the AI, they have the AI platforms everybody else is trying to build on top of, okay? And then the third was the everyday apps and data players like Salesforce, Adobe, Palantir, Snowflake. And these are the companies that are basically turning AI from buzzwords into everyday business tools for people to use. So I thought it was interesting the way it broke it down. It gave me a better understanding when I look at some of these as to what is really their involvement with AI. I wouldn't have thought Salesforce, for example. But we use it, and it's heavy AI right now. It's pretty amazing.
I don't personally use it, but I think one that sticks out there is most certainly Palantir, because they they have the government contracts, which is kind of just like printing money. It's like taking candy from a baby. But I think that's a good starting point, a good little launch pad into kind of how we want to structure this episode. I initially kind of thought of this in terms of how do I want to give my picks for this year and 5 years, when referring to market cap, because I think that would leave something for everybody, right? You can kind of pick one of in your first bucket, right? All those companies that you named are the chip makers, and I would even venture to say that the picks and shovels is a much deeper bucket than that. It's like an iceberg, right?
Yeah.
Sure, the GPUs and the chips, they're the I guess technical picks and shovels, but there are picks and shovels that go into the picks and shovels,
What of those or maybe this doesn't give all the sectors, but what sectors do you see as being the fast track that are going to grow the most here?
Yeah, for me, I personally love the groups that are actually building the chips and the people that are supplying those groups. That first bucket is really the one that stands out to me. Of course, because what was the second one? The second one
was platforms. That was the Microsoft, Google, Amazon, Meta, IBM.
See, okay, that is where I would say, those are your Mag 7. Your Mag 7, actually IBM is a interesting looking buy nowadays. But yeah, so first of all, I'll actually start with the second bucket, and I know what you mean by the third bucket. So the second bucket, I would say, is kind of where I wanted to start, because you just listed off the megas, right? And I had a conversation with a family member the other day asking me, what do you mean by AI is carried by the Mag 7? What does that even mean? Well, first you have to explain what the Mag 7 is, and of course, that's your they call the Magnificent 7, but that includes NVIDIA, which you put in your first bucket, but NVIDIA, Microsoft, Apple, Google, Amazon, maybe Netflix. I think they kind of kicked Netflix. That used to be FANG, FAANG, and then what was the other ones? I don't know. Maybe one other. Probably forgetting a big one. Meta. But all of those companies have some AI exposure. Some more, some less, some early, some later. You think early, Microsoft is invested in OpenAI heavily, and you see their stock trades based on that. And then Amazon is invested early in Anthropic, which is the folks who built Claude. And I mean, Tesla is indirectly related to XAI, right? I mean, yeah, and don't get me going on what Elon is going to do with the potential of a reverse merger of SpaceX into Tesla. And all that I know is I'm bullish on Tesla, just knowing that the Optimus robot is going to be produced by them. And I've said that for, I don't know, 2-3 years. As soon as he said it in an interview, it's just,
Yeah.
Exactly. So
He got me online with that. I think it was last year when he came out and did his shareholders talk party thing.
oh, with the robots as the bartenders.
Yeah.
Yes.
But I mean, when he said that, he sees basically every household having one, and they're going to be under whatever he said, 20 grand or something like that. My first thought is, cool. Somebody now that can jump in my Tesla, go to the grocery store, grocery shop for me, come home, cook dinner, look in the fridge, do a quick glance at what's in there, and come up with a recipe and make dinner. I'm like, okay, I'm in. 20 grand,
Yeah.
I'm in.
Take my money. Take my money, please. That, and I think, and if he wants to be a trillionaire, that's what he's going to do, because those are some of the benchmarks that he has to hit. But
You don't have to go
Anyways.
that far back when people were saying the electric car will never survive. He'll never get it off the ground.
And exactly. And what we've said multiple times, Tesla is far from an electric vehicle company. It's a technology company, right? You've said that exact phrase multiple times.
Yeah.
And so I would say, okay, first I want to pick one from that bucket. And my pick from that bucket is in fact Tesla. It can't not
Okay,
be,
interesting.
at least in my eyes. I think not only did Elon Musk acquire a ton at around 400, and people forget that, right? It only dabbled into that candle, by the way, was September 12th, the day that it went up from 371 to 397, and it was basically just Musk himself slamming the ask, the entire day. Go look. That's going to be that's going to be your benchmark for a long time, and I don't see it staying below that for a very long period of time. It retested that area on November 14th and November 21st, but I wouldn't think it's going to go much lower than that for a long time, if maybe ever. Who knows?
Yeah.
So part of me thinks that he has a team of people that know how to do that TA, or I don't know, maybe witchcraft, that say, hey, your stock is really close to a breakout. You should just buy it now. And I've forever thought that there should be a consulting firm that does that. Maybe we'll start that, Mike. But I really do think that like advisors to companies regarding buybacks and share offerings, even though those are from the devil. But aside from where it becomes accretive, I think learning and knowing the TA behind it is cool. Anyways, those are thoughts about Tesla. I think Tesla's kind of there's no telling what he's gonna do with all of his resources. Remember, he's got Twitter as well, which is a wealth of information, and that's all going into XAI, and they all just blend and feed off of each other, all these companies. And if there's one thing I've learned, it's to never ever. It's like betting against Kurt Signetti right now. Don't ever bet against Elon Musk. It's a bad idea. And Steve Jobs found that out the bad way. Or sorry, Bill Gates. Not
Gates,
Steve
yeah.
Jobs. Bill Gates found that out the hard way. So, and Tesla released those shorts. Wish I bought the shorts. But anyways, Yeah, bad idea. Don't bet against Elon. That's kind of that's not a picks and shovels play. That's kind of I went straight to rung 2.
Yeah,
but that's kind of my $1 trillion, 1.5 trillion. That's kind of in my mega cap bucket for 2026 at least, and most certainly beyond.
Yeah, and I think of got 5 years from now, what will AI look like and who the players will be. I mean, don't be surprised of a lot of new names popping up. I think probably some of the biggest will end up being somebody we've never even heard of yet.
Precisely. It's maybe not in this space, because I think maybe not in because I think many people believe that a couple of these platforms are going to win, right? Or maybe one. Elon initially said OpenAI is going to be, he was one of the founders of OpenAI and one of the first folks, and, helped fund it. And it was called OpenAI because it was meant to be open source.
Right.
And unfortunately, as time progressed, Elon was kind of ousted, and Altman takes over. And the reason Elon did that is because he believed that everybody should be able to work collaboratively on this, and that no private company should have access to something so powerful without and also for the safety of humanity as well. It's kind of everybody should have a fair shot at this, and everybody should be working on it at the same time. I may be, not saying his words perfectly. I know I'm not, but there, you can go find that online pretty easily. Watch a YouTube video about it. But he was ousted about 4 years ago. Altman, helps take this company private from nonprofit. OpenAI was a nonprofit. Takes it private it was always private. Takes it for profit. Right? It was not for profit. Now it's for profit. And they make everything proprietary. And he gives himself a very generous package of shares and all of the things. And all of you remember, if you were following this back when ChatGPT was first getting started, Elon was pissed. He was lashing out, saying how wrong this was, and it still went through. So he didn't have any recourse. I mean, there's nothing he could do. So that worries me, right? And so I think that XAI and the way that Elon, which by the way just raised $20-something billion in a funding round. I heard about this prior to the closing, and the fact that they just did it is wild. And I think I just wouldn't bet against him. And I think all of his companies are tied together, and it's one of the only few companies that they actually own, or at least have directly tied ownership of the actual platform. I mean, sure, Microsoft, air quotes, owns part of ChatGPT and OpenAI because they've invested, and same with Amazon and Anthropic, but Tesla and XAI and Grok are all much more tied. Actually, Google owns Gemini, obviously. So Tesla is a big winner here in this space, but it's also really hard for me to call out. It's hard for me to call out Google as a continual winner here, but I hate to break it to you, this is an obvious winner, right? Yeah. I was a fan of Google down, and of course, anybody that I tell this to, they go, well, why didn't you tell me back when it was 150? Well, I did. To anyone that was willing to listen to me. I have some friends who said, dude, you wouldn't shut up about Alphabet. Now I wish I would have bought at 150. They were like, I didn't even know Google was called Alphabet. Anyways, that's so back when, I think back
I mean, it wasn't that many years ago that when I started seeing this money in Google, I'm like, dude, it's just a search engine. Why are they worth so much money?
They know everything.
Yeah, you got to look under the hood a little bit.
They know everything. They have access to everything. They see what you watch on TV now. They see, everybody has YouTube TV. They see what you watch. They know what you search. They see all of your emails. They know they have your YouTube. They have your, I use YouTube Music. They know what I listen to. I mean, they know everything about me. And you know what? That's okay.
Yeah.
I know it's
king.
a horrible way to think of it, probably. But and then Gemini, and if you go look on Callshe or Polymarket or whatever, they have Gemini as like the top 2025. Like they're gonna win the top AI thing of 2025, right? So apparently Gemini is better than all of the ones we've already listed, supposedly. And I know you love Nano Banana, which is Google's image generator.
Right.
And yeah, I can't not talk about Google. It's because, newsflash, Warren Buffett just bought Google at, in the 300 range. Or what was it? Yeah, right. Way up here. Okay. 100% higher. 100% higher than it was in May of 25, 6 or 7 months ago, right? Maybe I'm mincing the math there, but he buys, 7 months. He buys 100% higher, and Warren Buffett does not miss. So this thing is just going to continue to grind. Of course, and I think we talked about Beyond the Trade countless times, right? These candles right here, this May 7th one, that was when Apple announced they were making a search engine. Or they were considering making a search engine. Okay, well, I've never heard of Safari. And then and then down here on June 20th, bought a bunch here. This was when Tesla announced their robo-taxis were getting released, and it went down to like 5% in a day. And because Google owns Waymo, which, by the way, are super duper cool. Mike, next time you're in Austin or a big city, you should ride in one.
Yeah, I was just talking to my daughter yesterday or day before, and she was in San Francisco on vacation earlier in the year, and they rode in a Waymo. She said her and her husband got in the back seat, and it was just weird. But, the car tells them to fasten their seatbelts, and of course they don't. And it takes off, and within a few seconds, it's like she goes like it was like the phone was ringing in the car, and his voice comes on. Some guy at some data center that can see us telling us to put our seatbelt on.
No way. Okay.
Unreal.
So that brings me to a conversation I had about this, because in San Francisco, I don't know if you saw the videos, but they had like a power outage, and all of the Waymos went down and were just parked in the middle of the street. It was like this was like a few weeks. This was a few weeks ago. They were just bricked. They just bricked, and horrible look, right? But why did that happen? And my guess is that the data centers somehow went down, which those data centers should have. I forget what the word is. There's a bunch of long words, but it's uptime, right? It's if their first source of energy goes down, they always have a backup, which is generators, right? And especially if it's generators or whatever, but especially if it's something like a robo-taxi with human beings inside, you probably should have a pretty reliable, secondary option. And the thing is with data centers, they're considered a failure if their uptime is not like 99.9 percentile, or, you're going to be used as like a government form submission, data center, right? It's like the data centers for stuff that's important has to have pretty much guaranteed foolproof, guarantee 99.99999% uptime, and they failed. That was my guess. That's my guess, and what you just said kind of reminded me of it, because it must have been a data center that went down, because all these cars have to go back somewhere and recharge, number one, and they have to relay all their data somewhere too. But I think my Tesla, I have the connectivity or whatever. I'm pretty sure they it's just connected to Starlink, I would assume.
Probably, yeah.
Probably, because it has its own LTE. Like, it's not connected to my phone or anything. But I don't know. So I don't know. So anyways, Google owns Waymo. That's why they went down here. That was an easy buying opportunity. And then Warren Buffett buys at 300. So yeah, Google's not only got the best current option for, GPT, LLM right now, but they've also got their hands in every little pie possible. And, it's pretty hard to not bet on Uber or on Google right now. So I love the stock. Wish I bought some at 290, 296 a little bit ago. It's up 10% from there. So those are my two big winners there. Ones that I would watch as a kind of wait and see. I would wait and see on Microsoft. I do think this is a good buy spot in the long term on Microsoft. Can't say it's not going to go lower, but I mean, because remember, I thought it was going to break out here, and it failed that area again. Although I did say that low 470s was kind of a buy spot, went straight up for $20, but it's now back down. So
yeah, it's running in that gap or that range there from like 472.50 to 490.
Exactly.
It's bounced up and in there so many times that I actually almost picked this for one of my bangers this week as a long, but I kind of changed my mind because it's just stuck in there right now. I think it has to get over the 490 for it to really take off.
Without a doubt. So I think they might. I don't know why they're being hindered right now. I just keep an eye on Microsoft. It could be a good spot for long term. And then one who I was referring to earlier, I'm going quick on these because I know we're going to get through a lot. But Apple, I believe, has benefited from saving kind of on Apple Intelligence and waiting. And we've talked about this. I sensed that Apple was going to have a nice little run back in August. It was a pretty nice one. They waited. Right, but I think they're really, starting to get things underway, and on their own AI stuff, nobody's talking about it. So I'd keep a close eye on Apple, especially given this little dip here back to previous all-time highs.
It's funny you bring up Apple.
Are you about to talk about it later?
I am.
Well, good. Let's save it then. All right, on to the next. So then. I don't even know what you would call CoreWeave. I really don't. I mean, it's I guess it's AI as a service, right? So maybe it's not the platform that it runs. It's not.
I guess I would say it falls in that third bucket of the everyday apps, data players. I mean,
it's a cloud enterprise, right? It's a cloud service basically. They're selling AI as a service. It's just like software as a service. It's these guys take the compute power. I've had to explain this so many times and honestly, I'm not even the best at explaining it. I'm probably better than a lot. But what they do is they lease the space in the data centers. They put their GPUs in there, NVIDIA, because NVIDIA owns 10-ish% of this company. They put NVIDIA GPUs in there. I'm sure they'll have the Blackwells and the Rubins and all of them and all the good stuff. And then they sell that for a profit, right? So if you, Acrotech Enterprises, wants to do a little AI research, you would approach, well, not a little. I think your pocketbook is a little small for these guys, but but if you want to do a little AI project, you'd go to the old CoreWeave and you'd say, "Hey, I want to buy some AI time," and they'll say, "All right, here's what it'll charge you to use our GPUs," and you say, "All right, I agree, take my money," and then you go about doing your AI stuff. So it's pretty neat. It's an interesting business model. It's brand new. A lot of people doubt it. A lot of people don't know what to think about it. A lot of people think it's really risky. It is. A lot of people. A lot of people are skeptics of the circular financing, which I want to shed a little light on from a recent article. But yeah, Mike, what is your kind of overall take on this new product that they really offer?
I really don't know that much about it. Like I said, even this whole thing, this got me into really looking and researching more on AI, and it's just so massive right now to try to get a grip on. It's something, really it's something newer that I have not spent a lot of time diving into. Interesting thing just popped up on my other screen, though, is that the UK government is working with Canada and Australia to launch a coordinated ban on X.
You said the
Wow.
UK, Canada, and the UK.
And Australia.
Well, that's a shame.
Teaming
because
up to ban X. Yeah, so much for free speech.
They're going to miss out on a lot of good memes. And I honestly feel really bad. and they're going to miss out on real news, and they're going to miss out on hearing about the Texas Longhorns getting every single guy in the portal.
There it is.
Yeah, I had to, hook 'em horns. Cam Coleman and Hollywood Smothers, welcome to the 40. So I think CoreWeave represents a lot of opportunity. I'm a huge fan, and this is kind of this. So I've got my mega cap, right? If I was to pick I'll talk about a chip maker also, but I'm kind of, mine is kind of an overall view, because chips, they all go up and down together. Some will take, I'll go into that after this, but this is kind of my sub 50 billion. I wanted to go mega, then talk about a chip maker, and then I wanted to go kind of a sub 50 billion, and then I want to talk about a sub 10 billion, and then I want to talk about a sub 1 billion market cap. So this is my sub 50. CoreWeave all-time highs is 187 and some change. IPO'd last year around April. There's crazy saying 2025 was last year. But I think this is, so I've got this article about CoreWeave, CEO Michael and trader. And I think that's how you say it. But this article says, CoreWeave CEO delivers blunt 5-word take on AI debate. Okay. And the 5 words are violent change in supply demand. So basically he said, that the skeptics today label today's AI market as circular, right? That, this circular financing that we all joke about, laugh about, where, the flow of money between all the chip folks, cloud providers, and AI startups all see, it makes it seem like it's a bubble that's just, a snake eating itself, right? It's just it continues to feed in just a circular method, right? OpenAI pays CoreWeave $500 billion for a 10-year deal. Okay, CoreWeave pays NVIDIA $500 billion for a 10-year deal, and then NVIDIA invests $500 billion in OpenAI. So it's, how does this work? you know? And so basically he said what he said is at a conference that it's a closed loop cooperation among AI businesses. It's actually just a historic supply chain shock. Computing power is scarce, and so is energy. While infrastructure typically takes years to build, in essence, it's a natural response for companies to coordinate and avoid retreating into silos when demand surges. That's the level of this level of coordination may look uncomfortable to outsiders, but to operators in the system, it's mostly just a matter of survival. And I agree. I think it's pretty well put by both the CEO and that article. This is creative financing, right? Very creative. And we're kind of coming up with really long terms on these deals and a lot of money, and it's scaring a lot of people. But in order for these deals to pencil and for us to actually go forward with anything, they have to be these big numbers, because there's no other way that any of this is going to get done. That's why you see a lot of these massive numbers on the corporate senior bonds that are being released. APLD did some for like a billion plus. IREN did some, like 2 billion. Convertible notes, a lot are doing converts. CoreWeave did a convert. So if basically a senior debt or a corporate bond is something that's not diluting your stock. Most times that the stock will sell when these things are announced, but it's not because the shares are being diluted. It's because it is new debt being introduced into the cap stack. And you look at APLDs, and I think there was like 9% debt on like $1 billion plus dollars, which that's a lot, But the reason they do that is to build things out. I mean, these companies have to get really creative, and they must think that their return on that capital is higher than 9%, which scares a lot of people. But would you rather that, or would you rather just get diluted into oblivion, which IREN has done a lot of, which, it still is going up. And I'll talk about IREN a little bit more. But, APLD could, and all of these stocks could easily just sell shares at the market and just, dilute their stock. That's what converts are kind of a separate deal. I've had the opportunity in my career to work with, with some of these financing structures and issuances myself. And so I kind of know the ins and outs of them a little bit. I understand from the issuer's side that, a convert, for example, is not something that you're, excited to do, because it kind of puts a temporary ceiling on the stock. So basically, a convertible note is generally a bond, a corporate bond that you're issuing, and it is going to have a relatively low coupon, meaning your interest rate on that debt could be 3% or less. You'll see many that are 0.25% coupon, right? But what you get is usually, I think, whatever they choose the term to be, maybe it's 5 years, maybe it's more, maybe it's a 7-year. You see a lot of 5s. Basically, they say over this, it's basically like an option. It's basically a call option that's baked into this bond that you buy over a certain, and they price it based on what the market says, but it's over 100. I think CoreWeave was like over 110 or something. The bondholders will get awarded or paid in shares or cash equal to the amount of shares, at a certain rate. So basically, these convertible bonds may have a super low interest rate on them getting paid to the investors, but they have a stake in that upside that they will get if the stock, runs and runs and runs. Sure, that kind of will make the stock a little bit more heavy, but it's a creative way for companies to kind of issue a lot of low-cost debt. And the investors in those bonds are really taking the risk on the upside, because they're going to literally make 1% or whatever their interest rate is if that stock doesn't go up past the strike price. And usually the companies will do, almost always, they'll put a capped call on there, meaning the company will take some of the proceeds from the sale of the bonds and they will put a cap on their downside, their dilution downside, and some other counterparty will take that. So, for example, and I don't know the exact numbers on CoreWeaves, but I think there's something in the ballpark of over 115, those converts go in the money, and then over 145-ish, CoreWeave no longer has downside. Like, that's where they bought their cap. So they use some of the proceeds to kind of buy a call option, really, to to mean, somebody else is taking that downside. So basically that spread between 115 and 140 or 145 is all, that is where CoreWeave stands to really dilute common shareholders or just pay a cash value out. Usually there's an open market for these bonds. So CoreWeave could go back and buy these bonds at the open market. They're not necessarily liquid. They probably aren't. But there's sometimes mechanics to where the investors in the bonds can call them early, but sometimes it's just after 5 years or whatever the term, you just pay it out in full. But you see what Iron did is Iron had one long ago, back when they were just a few dollars, I think, that they did a new convert in order to buy those back. So they did a new convert to raise proceeds to pay off the old converts early. I'm telling you. And now they have a new convert. And so it's like, it gets kind of slippery because if your stock explode, right. Yeah. And Iron must not have had it. What?
So it's like the great shell game. Where's the P? Under what walnut shell is the P today? I don't know. Let's find out. It's just money. I mean, it's just crazy how some companies can do what they do, and the reasonings behind it is mind blowing, which most people never get a look at on the inside.
Long story short, cheap capital in now that hopefully outweighs the cash loss later. So it can be a net good thing. So let's move on to the next. Section. I want to talk about chips a little bit. I love Cheetos. I love Baked Lays. I love.
I'm a Dorito guy. What can I say?
I love Voodoo Zaps. You ever had those?
I have not. Never heard of them.
Oh, okay. I know what I'm getting you for your birthday, whenever your birthday is. What's your social? Chips. So I want to talk about a couple, and I want you to talk about a couple too, if you have something to say. I think largely chips are going to continue to do good, but as with anything, the supply and demand is something that will always catch up, right? Whenever you want to try to, obviously the demand is very high for chips right now, specifically for any AI use. I think that the people betting on NVIDIA's downfall are probably going to be wrong, because I think that the GPUs and their constant innovation and their glut of talent I think they're going to continue to be successful. Although I do think that other players are going to join the space. I think AMD is going to, start to creep away, take some market share. I think, what others, Google's building their own, Amazon's building their own, Qualcomm's building their own, Apple's probably building their own. So everybody is going to kind of join the party. And I just want to, comment that I think even though there's going to be a continual robbing NVIDIA of market share, I don't think that that's necessarily a bearish signal. I think there's so much demand, and I don't think the demand is going anywhere for a long period of time. I think it eventually will, right? Supply will eventually catch up with demand. I think the demand is just so high that there's really no stop in sight right now. There will be, but not right now.
You even had, I think it was Tesla also started building their own chips instead of, they're cheap chips. They're a couple bucks a piece they buy them at. But just because of supply issues, they started making their own. A lot of companies have done that, like you said. But it just still doesn't take away from that core that NVIDIA has such high demand for.
There's no doubt about that. NVIDIA will continue to win betting against NVIDIA, I think, is just a bad idea.
I agree.
And I think companies that stand to gain significantly from this, one thing I wish all the time is that Samsung was traded on the U.S. stock market. I would love to trade Samsung. I think Samsung is, I'm in Austin, obviously. They're building a ginormous facility, fab, out in Taylor, Texas. And they're just going to start building chips, the CHIPS Act and all the stuff. And yeah, so they're right, not too far from me. But I think one that continues to stand to gain from all of this is Intel, right? Intel is getting all over the fab game. Totally.
I like that call out.
Intel, and we've been talking about Intel, ladies and gents. Who's been talking about this? This bada bing, bada bing, bada boom. And for those listening, I just drew an inverse head and shoulders where your shoulder was kind of in the 35, 36 range. 32 was your kind of your head, and 35, 36 was your other shoulder. We're back up to 46. Inverse head and shoulders. And lo and behold, this 44.75 level that I marked last week from guess where, none only than 1999, the highs back in September. That was the high of the day, dang near, on last week. Last on Thursday. Yeah, I think the high was just, a few cents off. My bad. So that was literally last week, folks. Last week. So you heard it here first. You must hate money if you don't take our calls. But anyways, not financial advice. Intel is really leaning into the fab game. They want to be building these chips for other people. Their products business is still strong. Sure, yeah, they've been cash flow negative. Last year they just bit the bullet on a lot of stuff, right? And they've got new CEO in there who was going back and forth with DJT, and then suddenly DJT's investing 10% in this company. I mean, it's just wild turnaround. So of course that made the Intel go way up, but Intel is going to be a big part of the United States home turf manufacturing chip ecosystem. So I would watch this.
Well, and you got 10% government stake in it now.
Exactly. And by DJT, I'm not meaning the stocks. I mean the stock DJT.
Yeah.
I mean Donald Trump. But yeah, exactly. I mean, and that's where you realize that when you realize and you get to the point of, okay, what is the worst case scenario? And I'll ask you, Mike, what is the worst case scenario for AI? Like, in the event that we're all wrong, what does that look like? And what is our last resort? Just want any take that you have.
I mean, it's hard to even fathom, to be honest with you. I think the biggest possible concern would be some type of government restriction, but I don't see that because not all governments are the same, and there's always going to be governments that are going to say, well, we don't care what you think. So yeah, I don't know. That's a good question, though.
I think the worst case scenario is the build out just takes longer than we thought, and things are just not on the timeline that people think right now. And that's not even really like a worst case scenario. It's like it's eventually going to go up. And I think what is our last resort? And that's where I start to get giddy about the AI just not going away, right? Because the last resort is the United States government, right? The government is behind all of this. And at the end of the day, this is a technology war. The government is, already the H200, NVIDIA H200s, like all the, okay, what do we want to export chip wise? What are we going to allow? Okay, CHIPS Act, all this stuff. We're doing all this manufacturing and things on home turf. the United States invested 10%, bought 10% of Intel. I mean, there's just the government just cracked a deal with CoreWeave on, some research stuff, right? The government is who has unlimited money, can literally print it. I know we all know this. They are the ones who are making sure that this happens, because at the end of the day, whoever, people believe, and I'm one of those people, that the first person to get to super intelligence, AGI, will have won. What did you win? I don't know. Maybe a cakewalk. I don't know. Yeah. But you have won, right? You have control of everything, and you have the super intelligent, AI that can literally do anything, probably wipe out humans as a whole. But the thing is I do think it's going to take longer than 2030 or whatever everybody's talking about. But if you think about ChatGPT 2 years ago, and this is just a simple, thought process. You think of the way that it's changed just in 3 years, the amount of people that use it, 2-3 years.
Yep.
And think about generations. I heard a stat, 35% of people under kids 18 and under use ChatGPT every single day. And so
it's crazy that
generational.
Most people, a lot of them just goofing around making pictures with it. But when you dive into what it really is and how it works, that's me part-time. Somebody's got to make these thumbnails.
They're good,
but it really is. And for simple tasks that, my God, I was sent a PowerPoint presentation from our corporate, and I'm like, well, that's not what I asked for. I was asking for a press release on a product that we come out with. They sent me this whole damn PowerPoint. I'm like, I'm not going to go through this and start picking it apart to make and create a news release. So I upload the whole thing into ChatGPT and I tell it what I want. Boom. It literally went through all them slides and did a great press release in a matter of seconds. And that's just a stupid use for this thing. What the stuff that it can do that we're not even aware of, which I think is one reason why we see the government getting involved with some ownership in these companies, is that technology is being used in defense big time.
Mm-hmm.
Look at Palantir, for God's sakes.
Mm-hmm. And nobody knows what they do.
Yeah, really.
That's what should scare you.
Everybody loves to hate them, but they've got something going. There's another guy out there, I forget his, Lucky something or other. Somebody turned me on to his company that does defense.
Yes, I've heard of it. Anduril.
Yes.
Anduril, going to go public. Yeah.
I'm waiting. I'm hoping that he goes public with it. It's an incredible company from what I've read on it, and he's quite the character. He falls in line with like an Elon Musk. The guy he'll make a joke out of just about anything, right or wrong. But he's just got a great sense of humor, and he seems like a down to earth young guy, smart guy. But you give me the technology that he has in AI. Rumored is supposed to be pretty amazing as far as what it's being used for in defense projects right now. But yeah, I don't know. It's scary good. It's scary where it's going to go for sure.
Well, I know folks who have used the Palantir Anduril platforms in the military, and it's just like Call of Duty, but in real life. Like, you can see everything on the battlefield. It's ridiculous. You can see everything on the battlefield on a tablet that's on your chest. I hear it's just ridiculous. I'd love to use it someday. I'm sure there's YouTube videos out there. You can see where everybody is. It's like the drones are connected to the crazy. Okay. All right. Now I want to go sub 10 billion. Do you have any follow-up questions on any? Okay.
I'm learning along the way.
Sub 10 billion. I've got to talk about my baby. APLD, baby. How we feeling? How we feeling? Up a casual, and shout out anybody who doubted APLD ever along the way. Up a casual, 20 to 30% after earnings, and to me, yeah, sure. Okay, this is actually over 10 billion now. Sorry, I was referring to Thursday. But to me, this company is very highly potentially overvalued. Now, I don't know. Not that I'm saying go short. I would not bet against a chart that looks like this. That's what I will tell you. Is I just think based on any research that I can do, any valuation that I can do, it's valued highly. And but this chart is an expanding chart, right? It's literally it's not, if you go all the way back to 2003, it's not technically at all-time highs here, but it's really it's getting close. It's any recent 20-year highs. This is proof kind of in the pudding that these data center stocks are potentially here to stay. And those who prove to build good, high quality AI factories with, successful, uptime, cooling, all the things, and they still got to prove it out over a long run, sure. But the reason APLD is continuing to go up is because they keep getting new contracts, they keep starting new data centers, and they're proving it out. They've already, their first 100 megawatt facility for CoreWeave, it's up and running. They're making money. So congrats to APLD, great quarter, great release. They're going to they're going to spin off their cloud service platform into kind of a merger that I haven't really looked into that much yet. I have some, but I don't fully understand it, so I don't want to speak on it too much. But they're kind of merging with another company that is public, and APLD owners or something will own 80 to 90% of it. I've seen different numbers, and but what that does is that frees them up to be really just a real estate company that is leasing space, which ding ding ding, that lets them become a REIT. Okay, which opens up tax advantages. Okay, when your revenue, some percent of your revenue, I think like 90% or something, comes from leases, you're able to, or rental income, you're able to become a REIT. So that has been their plan all along. That's why I like them back here at 10. They had a long-term vision. I mean, shoot, I wish I liked them earlier. When they initially started saying this, they followed through with everything that they've said to date, and they don't aggressively dilute shareholders. So I'm really proud of APLD. It's been a great pick. I know a lot of you joined from the beginning, and congratulations to those who did. Iron is another one that I do like. This one is, I would be a little bit more careful here. They did just put a new convert again to replace an old convert. They've got a lot of debt out there, but Iron has probably the most extensive power supply out of anyone. They have something like 3 gigawatts of power availability to their name. It's some crazy number that they're entitled to. They own the rights to, really. And so, these guys have mega deals with Microsoft, mainly Microsoft, to lease their space. But these guys are really kind of a power play. If you believe in power as a, and they also have a ton of income already, right? They're $15 billion market cap. So, and there's things to be wary of, right? They do dilute. They are not afraid to. But they have a really, really interesting outlook, and you could research for hours and hours and not know the full story still on Iron. So very interesting one to follow.
Interesting.
And I know we've talked about Iron a little bit in the past, but yeah. So that kind of brings me to some flyers. So if you're the type of person who wants to throw $100 into something that may be a 10xer in 5 years, I've got a couple for you. One that I've talked about a little bit is this may not be a 10xer because it's already gone up so much, but I have a buddy, again, shout out Travis, who brought up BW, Babcock and Wilcox Enterprises, They are kind of a picks and shovel guy. They supply equipment that are used in data centers. You zoom out, the chart looks absolutely horrible. That's kind of why I stayed away from it. But he held from $3, and he's still in at 8. And they actually cracked a deal with APLD. They supply APLD with stuff for their data centers. So this one is a small cap, not even $1 billion. So if they can crack more deals, this one can really go places. Nice work on BW. That's one that I'd keep on watch. Another one, NVIDIA owns some of this. This is RXRX, which is Recursion Pharmaceuticals. This one is, again, pharmaceuticals, so be careful. Super volatile stock. NVIDIA owns part of this company, okay? Anytime you see that, you should know they're in bed together. They use AI to do pharmaceutical research. And so eventually my feeling is this is going to take off. That coupled with the NVIDIA ownership, NVIDIA has owned part of them for a while now. Okay. I believe they're probably down on their ownership, but it's just one to keep on watch that's maybe worth a flyer that can certainly make moves going forward. And then one that I wish I took a position in, but was kind of scared off just by the lack of volume is, and I guarantee you, very few of you, maybe one of you have heard about this stock. Maybe one. IMOS. Okay. Look, I mean, if you're looking at this chart,
Where did that come from?
I know. I have been following this stock since October. Okay. And I looked at it and I said, there is quite literally no volume on this. I mean, 3,000 volume in a day. 3,000. Which at 3,000 times 20, what is that? 600,000 bucks? Really? Right?
Okay.
Yeah. So that's how much volume was trading on this thing. I don't own any, but disclaimer, I don't own any of this. I wish I did. But I got scared off, and I'll explain to you what these guys do and how I found them. So, proof in the pudding of using AI to do your research for you is back in October, I looked and I said, okay, ChatGPT, find me stock, but this is a $1.3 billion company, was about 700 million when I saw it first, kind of kicking myself here. This thing does not trend with the market at all. It's an ADR. I don't know. I forget where they're headquartered, but they, not America. And they do. So basically I asked AI, I said, find me some AI plays that are not discovered yet. And they need to be sub $1 billion market cap, preferably lowish volume to where, they're undiscovered, and they supply the people who are making all of these big deals. Okay.
They're headquartered out of Taiwan.
There you go. Okay. So there is a little inherent risk there, potentially a reason that I got scared off, but what Chip, their name is ChipMOS, Chip MOS. What do? They provide outsourced semiconductor assembly and test services, often called OSAT, to chip makers and electronics manufacturers. Its core business includes testing, verifying performance and quality of integrated circuits after fabrication, assembly and packaging, physically packaging chips so they can be used in electronic products, memory, mixed signal chips, display drivers, advanced services such as wafer bumping, substrate packaging, chip sale packaging, and turnkey test solutions for various types of semiconductors. And these services support fabless companies, which many are, integrated device manufacturers, and foundries that design chips but outsource testing and packaging. So it's kind of an all-inclusive supplying the suppliers, right? It's the picks and shovels behind the picks and shovels. And as you can see, they had earnings in November, and this thing immediately jumped 50%.
Wow.
It went back down, got bought right back up to 30, and now it is just ripping. Anytime this thing catches volume, it flies. And so what I did when I initially saw this thing is I says, okay, where was the volume? What's all-time high? Where do we stand now relative to where it was? And I kind of saw 30 as a key level here where, okay, that's my upside, right? It's going to be tough to get over 30 to 32. Well, you look at it now, it took a quick little stop there, and then now it's just completely blasted through. I could see this thing going to all-time highs. Do I want to buy a position? Maybe on a retest down to 32. But this thing is jumpy, right? I don't know much about this company, but I do know that ChatGPT dug this thing up for me. I did look into it, and it's up almost 100%. And also, in that search, one of the other ones that came up is one that I forget what it was, but literally within 3 days, the company came out with a PR with some data center company, and it was up 130%. And
crazy.
And then another one that came up that I guess I haven't looked into all that much too. I've looked into this one a little bit, but again, these charts look terrible. Is QUIK, again, don't even, 130 million, right? So I'm not saying go slam these. I'm saying these are flyers. That, maybe just that money that you don't even want to ever look at again might be worth something. This one looks like it could be curling here. So again, all that to say, these could go anywhere.
I guess so.
Risky. And this IMOS one is crazy. I do track it. But yeah, that's kind of my general overview, top to bottom, of AI stocks and what I like now and what I like going into the future, because I believe AI in this whole trade is not going anywhere. And there will continue to be places to put your money, whether it's large caps, whether it's medium caps, whether it's small. There will be opportunities throughout this run. Just wait for the pullbacks, find yourself a good entry, and load up. That's my take.
Go back to last week's episode on levels, support and resistance.
Agreed.
That'll tell you when to get in.
Yeah.
I was just looking up when I mentioned the guy Lucky. His name is Palmer Lucky.
Okay.
That owns Anduril. Is the name of the company. I'm gonna send him a message so we can get him on the podcast.
Yeah, we are.
He's the guy that actually created Oculus and sold it to Meta.
Oh, okay. So yeah, he knows what he's doing.
Yeah,
he knows what he's doing. Anduril is considered to be a 2026 IPO, by the way.
I can't wait. Mm-hmm. It's one I'm definitely interested in.
So
anyway,
I think it's time.
Is it time?
It's time. Yes, and I hope you like the intro, everybody. Mike worked hard on that.
Yeah. We had the intro done. It turned out, Julian, if you're out there listening, my friend from Romania, thank you very much. Hard work. It turned out fabulous. We love it.
Fabulous. Love it. Thank you, Julian.
Thanks, Julian.
Might include Julian's link in the description.
Yeah.
What do you got?
Well, I started going through, and you picked up one I thought was interesting. It was Apple, and I like Apple long. It's sitting right at a key level, which we talked about last week.
Previous all-time high.
Yeah. But I think let me pull it up here on my screen.
260.
Take a look here. And I think I have the target's not huge. 270 is my target, but I think it can get there pretty quick.
Yeah.
So I'll be looking at options on that tomorrow morning and see where they're at. I mean, I usually wait till open to see rather than guess if I'm going to get in or not get in based on Friday's data. But I'll be looking at them pretty hard Monday to go long with a 270 target. I had Microsoft down, but I think it feels stuck right now to me, and it might be too early to get into Microsoft. And I'm not. I just every time I've traded it, I've never done that well with it, so I'm a little leery there. Stick to your to what you know, and if you don't know it, well, or if it's burned you several times, maybe use caution. But it's sitting there again. It was Friday. It kind of bounced off that level. Pretty good rise. $8, $7, something like that. But it needs to get through, as we talked earlier. I think that 490 level. When it breaks through that, it's got tons of room.
Yep.
Hood is one that I was a little on the fence with, but I like where it's sitting. It hasn't had any big news or anything in a while, but I do like I like where it was. It bounced off that 106.50 level, somewhere in there. I thought it was going to come back down to touch it, but all last week it kind of shot up on Monday, a little bit ahead of where I thought it was going to go. So I'm going to keep an eye on that. What I'm looking for there is a break of 121, then I'm going to get in. Or I'll be looking to get in.
Cool.
That's it. Nothing big.
For me, I like all those, by the way. For me, I'm pretty much, I'm a simpleton. Less can certainly be more. And for me, CoreWeave.
You love that stock.
Weave me alone, Mike. Weave me alone. Weave me alone. This one is a banger. It's going to rip. I have a good feeling about it. 90 seems imminent. Over 90, we're getting to 100. Over kind of the 105 range, we're getting to 115. I am long shares. I love the stock. I think people love to hate it, which makes me love it more. It is risky. There was high volume on Friday. Nice little close. I wouldn't be surprised if this gaps up. I wouldn't be surprised if this sees 90 in the coming days. I wouldn't be surprised if it sees 100 by the end of January. My good buddy D-Book Lane is a fan here, and usually when that coincides with my interest, it usually turns to be a smash hit. So I am a fan of CoreWeave. I have been a fan of CoreWeave, and I will continue to be a fan of CoreWeave.
All right.
I love it. That's my only position right now. Love this stock. It's not gonna rise 30% in one day again, because it's all of the financing, and it's a big company. It could go up 20% in a day. It has done that in a few weeks ago. So this thing is explosive, and when it goes, right? You could see 3 straight 15% days and get left in the dust, right? So it's kind of just a buy low waiting game, sell high. That's the strategy on CoreWeave. I've traded this thing pretty much ever since it 3 months post IPOs when I started trading it, and I've followed the way that it tracks, and I love trading it. It's a good stock. I'm proud of APLD. Super proud of it. I hope that thing continues to just bust. And then I do think that for mega cap entries, I think if you're going long kind of shares or a longer term play, I do think Microsoft is at a good spot. I'm not saying buy options. I'm saying it's on old support at 465. Really, it is in that range. I think it's a good. It doesn't mean it's going to go up right away, but I like it. I also like I said, I like Tesla for entries, and I like Apple for entries as well. So, nice. And then ones that I want to want to warn everybody about, and not saying go short by any means, but I would be careful on the memory ones. I know that they're really hot right now. Micron and SanDisk, super hot right now. And they look just tremendously good. NVIDIA CEO Jensen Huang said something about storage to the tune of there's infinite demand for it right now, and there's very few players. Okay, yes, that is very true. But with memory, these supply and demand ebbs and flows very, very heavily. So it'll obviously this is in the rip, right? But when it rips, it'll go down, 50% in between. So and if you look, this is pretty extended. It's really extended. But by no means do I say go short tomorrow, right? I'm just saying this is extended. If you've been in, congratulations. Great time to maybe consider taking some profit, on these rips that are way detached from your EMAs. I know a lot of people are in these. I was talking to a guy in my DMs that was in SanDisk, SNDK. I mean, if you are in these, congratulations, right? Huge rips. Just be careful. Take some profit along the way. That's my take.
Awesome. I like it.
Cool.
I like it. I see. I don't know where this. I have it a level on MU right at the top, and I don't remember looking at it anytime soon. But
it's the
but
the
it's
gods.
also I'm looking. Yeah, I guess it's
Trading
a sign.
gods.
It's a sign. It's a sign, and its RSI is overextended too. Interesting.
Doesn't mean go short. Just be careful. All right, folks. Well, thank you for tuning in. Please like, please subscribe, please comment. Especially the comments really help us out. Let us know what your favorite AI stock is. Let us know what you're taking a flyer on. And if you don't have anything to say on those, just say go Bears. It helps us with
Go
the
Bears.
algorithm. Just say dub Bears. Helps us with the algorithm and helps us grow. So thank you all so much for tuning in.
Go Bears.